Boy, what a fantastic day here in the Pullman neighborhood and in Chicago, and appreciate everybody turning out. We have a lot of fun with these designations each year because we work with members and citizens from all over the country as they look at what makes places so special. And so here today we are not only honoring the Pullman neighborhood, but this is the place we've chosen to announce this year's designations of all 30 great places in America throughout the United States. And I'm pleased to be here on behalf of our board of directors and our president, Mitchell Silver, as well as all of you who are here to celebrate together today. And we're very honored to have several special guests. I understand that Alderman Anthony Beale of Chicago's 9th Ward is in transit and will be here, so we will introduce him when he arrives. We also have Sonny Fischer, chair of the Illinois Historic Preservation Agency, Bennett Haller, Director of Planning and Urban Design for the City of Chicago, Mike Szymanski, President of the Historic Pullman Foundation, and Pete Pointner, a Fellow of the American Institute of Certified Planners and a member of the Historic Pullman Foundation. And I'd also like to recognize a few other people, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some people, but I apologize for that. But Mike Wagenbach, Historic Site Superintendent, State Representative Connie Howard, David Doig, Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives, Eleanor Gorski, Department of Housing and Economic Development, Reverend Thomas of the Greenstone Church, right behind me, and Reverend Milton Jackson, Chairman of the Board of the Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives. As I said, I apologize if I've left some people out, but that's the list that we have right now. As I said, we are today announcing the designation around the country of 30 great places. And they're located in communities literally spanning the entire U.S., from a designation on Nantucket off our country's Atlantic coast to the Lahaina on Maui Island in the Pacific. And this year we're getting designations for the first time in 3 states, Hawaii, Iowa, and Mississippi. And since we launched this program 5 years ago, we've now designated 140 places in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. And our collection of great places for 2011 include 2 that are here in Illinois, the Pullman neighborhood, as well as Main Street in Galena. Those 2 encompass 1,300 years. Yes, that's correct, more than a millennium of recorded human habitation, not those 2, but the designations, because we have archaeological findings in Hawaii that demonstrate that there was human habitation for hundreds of years in that part of our country. 700 AD, I believe, is the earliest human habitation found on that place in Maui. And we launched this program, as I said, 5 years ago, to be able to help celebrate what it takes really to create places of lasting value. And it's not just to create them in the first place, but it's the care, the stewardship, often the revitalization. That only comes about when you have people who care. You have business leaders, you have neighborhood leaders, you often have professionals giving of their time and energy. And we think that some of the places we've designated over the years have seen some hard times along the way. But the sort of the bones, the very nature of how they were created and the love that people have for those are the ingredients, the intangibles that lead people to take up the cause, to fight, and to bring places back often. And that's, again, one of the lessons that we hope people will learn around America through these designations. The very first year we had the designation, one of the neighborhoods we designated was North Beach in San Francisco. And at the end of a fairly long interview, one of the media representatives asked me, he said, "Paul, what did you hope to get out of these designations?" And my comment at that time was conversations. We want people talking about special places. Those conversations are important, and we love to see not only media at an event like this, but we love to see what goes on the web where people can argue. Then over the next few days, you can go on our website and you'll see arguments about, well, why didn't they designate this neighborhood, or how could they have been so dumb as to designate such and such, and then somebody else will respond. It's those kinds of conversations that are part of the civic engagement and the civic dialogue that really planning is all about. So let me just mention a couple of designations also in addition to Pullman. Grays Lake Park in the heart of Des Moines during the late 1990s became the inspiration for more than $2 billion in Des Moines investment, according to the Des Moines Parks and Recreation Director Donald Shrupp. Just to our north of the $35 million pedestrian-only walkway, the Milwaukee River Walk, is another great place of this year. It contributed to adjoining property values increasing by more than $500 million and to more than $700 million in new commercial and residential investments. These are just a couple of examples of what the APA means when we say that planning results in communities of lasting value. Great neighborhoods, great streets, great public spaces are exceptional for many reasons. Not only their contributions to the local economies, as I've just related, but good planning also results in the development of communities of tomorrow and state-of-the-art practices. The company neighborhood, created in 1880 by George Pullman, set a new standard at that time for working-class housing by including indoor plumbing, gas lighting, and cross-ventilation in every house. The garden park design was another unheard-of feature for workers of that era. Great neighborhoods such as Pullman, as well as great streets and great public spaces, don't just happen on their own or by chance. To realize the long-lasting benefits of good planning, communities must cultivate, nurture, and be steadfast in their commitment to and the practice of good planning and civic engagement. Good planning doesn't happen on its own. It takes the leadership of elected officials, the contributions of businesses and community leaders, and the hard work of engaged citizens as well as professionals. And certainly all of these factors have contributed to the historic preservation, restoration, and long-time benefits you see here in the Pullman neighborhood. Efforts that, I might add, if they have not been undertaken, might have resulted in a neighborhood that would have been long ago forgotten or demolished. We have several speakers who will share more of the remarkable planning and historic preservation journey the Pullman neighborhood traveled. Let me now welcome Pete Pointner, who will share the work of the 60s and early 70s that led to the Pullman neighborhood being named both a national and state preservation area.
Welcome to Pullman. Pullman's a success story, a success at linking historic preservation and neighborhood revitalization. 50 years ago, Pullman was threatened with demolition to make way for a new industrial park. Today it is a national, state, and city historic landmark district, and now it is recognized as one of America's great neighborhoods. How was this success achieved, and how did this happen? It came through the connection of three factors. First, its architecture. It is distinctive, handsome, solidly built brick historic architecture, and that attracts people. Secondly, its original plan. It was built on a plan that gave people reasons to stay in Pullman, and it provides planning lessons for today. It was more than worker housing. It was a complete city, linking jobs, a diversity of housing, and daily needs within walking distance, a classic neighborhood, with public transportation into the heart of Chicago and generous parks and open spaces. The third component is its people who came together as a community to forge this link between historic preservation and neighborhood revitalization. People who have appreciated and cared about the history and character of the physical community and the welfare of the social community. People who have been willing to work with sweat equity, giving tens of thousands of volunteer hours and participating in literally thousands of meetings over the past 50 years. And people who understood the need to reach out and engage and involve others in the effort, both near and far. Individuals and groups, government agencies and foundations. The power of individuals has been leveraged through the efforts of the Pullman Civic Organization, the historic Pullman Garden Club, and through active partnerships with the City of Chicago, the Illinois Historic Preservation Agency, and many foundations. Where do we go from here? My father used to say the only constant in life is change, and time takes a toll on buildings and on people. We wear out. For this reason, the preservation effort, led by the historic Pullman Foundation, must continue to attract and involve new people and new groups so that Pullman does not become just a museum, but remains a viable living community and continues to be what it is now recognized as truly one of America's great neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pete. Now join me in welcoming Sonny Fischer, who will talk about the contributions of the Illinois Historic Preservation Agency and the state of Illinois in restoring the Pullman neighborhood. Sonny?
Well, Mr. Pointner, that's a wonderful story about historic preservation. Thank you, and congratulations to the Pullman neighborhood and to the APA for making such a great selection. It is indeed a wonderful community. And it also recognizes how a focus on historic preservation strengthens a neighborhood and makes it more livable. Preserving a historic building or property is more than just keeping our heritage intact, although that is a noble cause. Historic preservation makes good economic sense. Time and again, when tourists are surveyed, as we have done through the IHPA, they list a town's history as a compelling reason to visit. They like the sense of time travel that a well-preserved and interconnected historic district offers, or the immersive stories that a historic site can tell. When tourists visit, they spend money. Money that fuels business, employs people, and revitalizes communities. Tourism, even in this day and age, in this economy, is still one of the top industries in Illinois, and heritage tourism makes up a big chunk of that economic engine. The same things that appeal to tourists are what attract new residents, businesses, and industries to communities. And we know that Pullman is poised to make that leap. A sense of community pride, and that is so evident in Pullman, is best displayed in a city's heritage and how it is preserved and presented. A proud community encourages new investment, and new investment keeps that economic engine running. Also, historic preservation is a great fit with the new green movement. We like to talk about sustainability, but what better example is there of sustainability than a building that has sustained itself for 50 or 100 years and then is adapted for modern commercial or residential use? Plus, you get the added benefit of having something that fosters pride, which encourages tourism, which means economic benefits. Truly the circle of life for communities today. Again, congratulations to all of you that have created this wonderful neighborhood out of the old into the new. Thank you.
Well, in logistics, as you know, there's something that's very popular these days called just-in-time delivery. So I'd like to, using just-in-time delivery, invite Alderman Anthony Beale to step up, Alderman of the 9th Ward. You all know him, and we're so glad you could make it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First, let me apologize for being fashionably late. We had a finance meeting downtown, and you all know I can't let all the money go by without me being there, so I had to be there for that, so I apologize for being late. But today is another great day here in the Pullman community. I just want to congratulate everybody for, staying steadfast with the community. From the day I got elected, the Pullman community embraced me from day one about moving the community forward, and you all see we're moving the community forward. We're being recognized throughout the nation. It's because of the hard work that you all put in every single day. So today's congratulations go to you, the community, and I couldn't not be more proud to be the alderman here in the 9th Ward. Thank you all so much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like you to join me in welcoming Bennett Haller, Director of Planning and Urban Design for the City of Chicago. Bennett.
Thank you. I think for many of us who don't live in the Pullman area, our first exposure may have been a movie like The Fugitive, in which the bad guy, the one-armed man, actually apparently lived in a building, a row house building somewhere here in Pullman. There was also a Chuck Norris movie I saw, which primarily featured downtown Chicago, but for some reason, the Pullman Arcade was used as a stand-in for Russia. It wasn't bad, actually, and it was, of course, highlighting this very important work of architecture. And I would say it is definitely one of the interesting things about Pullman that it does serve multiple communities. In terms of labor history, of course, Pullman is very famous both as the vision of a single man and the hierarchy he established here. The Pullman strikes are, of course, a very important moment in labor history, as were the Haymarket riots in downtown Chicago. Also, as a history of planned communities, Pullman 1880 was very important as one of a series of communities planned between about 1880 and 1910 for various purposes. It is also, of course, a repository for beautiful architecture, and I think the beauty of the architecture is one of the reasons it still is here today. And I think in the future, we want Pullman to be a model for how communities are adapting to change and becoming new and vital neighborhoods in our future. One of the interesting things, too, in terms of APA's designation of things in Chicago, first it was Michigan Avenue, a street. Then it was Lincoln Park, a public space, a park. Third, it's Pullman, the neighborhood. So I would say the natural progression, of course, is fourth, the greatest city in North America, Chicago, Illinois. So certainly we will continue to work with the Pullman community. As many of you may know, we are going to have a ULI technical assistance project for Pullman, in which we discuss various ideas about how to continue its further revitalization into the future. We definitely recognize its valuable contribution as it exists now, its strong transit connections, its beautiful architecture, and its diverse and energetic people, all as important components in the overall growth of our city. So on behalf of Mayor Rahm Emanuel, on behalf of my Commissioner, Andrew J. Mooney, I thank you for your time, and I appreciate the APA as an AICP certified planner. I appreciate the fact they designate Pullman as the great neighborhood it is. Thank you.
Well, Bennett, we have membership now in 85 countries around the world, so I'm not quite sure why you would stop with designating Chicago as the greatest city in North America. And I'd like to ask several people now to come up to receive the actual award. Mike Szymanski, President of the Historic Pullman Foundation, Alderman Beale, Pete Pointner, and Sonny Fischer, and Bennett Haller. So, okay. Here, and I'm going to stand on the side. And so here is the. So. You've been elected. Okay, so here is the award.
Okay, thank you.
What's it say?
You want to step up and read it?
What does it say?
Yeah.
It says, the Pullman Neighborhood, a great place in America, neighborhoods. And it's presented by the American Planning Association. It's really a significant designation. And we should all be proud, every one of you out there, for the work that you've done over the years and the great atmosphere. The neat thing about the town is that people come from all over the world and they're encountered by the neighbors saying, "Can I help you? Where are you from?" And everybody starts telling stories and they find out why people come here. In 1 week, we had 6 foreign countries and 4 different continents where people have tracked down Pullman because it plays a significant role in our great history. So I want to thank every one of you who make this all possible. On behalf of the Pullman community, we greatly appreciate this.